This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud partner of the WAFL and WAFLW. The West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams. Kia, proud partner of the WAFLW. This is Kia. Simply Energy, supporting WA Footy's talent pathway.
Lovely conditions here this afternoon at Revo Fitness in the leafy green suburb of Claremont. Today is round 3 of the Optus Women's WAFL season, and the Claremont Tigers hosting South Fremantle. South Fremantle in their 10th game in their short history, looking for a very first historic win this afternoon. The Tigers, well, they've had 1 win and 1 loss, a narrow loss to Swan Districts back in round 1 before bouncing back against the Sharks in round 2 with an 8-point win. And South Fremantle in their second season in the Optus WAFLW competition, they had a loss against Subiaco by just 3 points in round 1, so better signs for them before a 53-point hammering last week against Swan Districts. Ideal conditions this afternoon, bright sunshine, should see no effect on the ball skills this afternoon as we have a look at the two teams beginning their warm-up. So we'll go to our very first break, and on the other side of that we will preview the round 3 contest. Myself, Matt Chechens and Clint Degebrot will run our eye over the two lineups, and the bounce down not far away. We'll be right back here at Revo Fitness Stadium.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au. Welcome back to Revo Fitness here in Claremont. We can see the South Fremantle Bulldogs beginning their warm-up. Matt Chechens in commentary this afternoon, and joining me together for the first time, the Dream Team, Clint Degebrot, a little out of breath. Good afternoon.
First time this year, the Dream Team.
And we've got a very special guest today with their special comments. Jade Britton, very good afternoon, Jade.
Good afternoon, how are you?
We're going well. Look, Degger's going to be an interesting game today. I said just before the break, South Fremantle's 10th game in their very short history. Better signs this year. They only went down to Subiaco by 3 points back in round 1, and then the form sort of reverted next week, but they're showing signs of improvement.
Yeah, Swans didn't let them play any of their own game, whereas Subiaco gave them a bit of space with their young superstars, or young up-and-coming stars, I should say, of the Subiaco, of the South Fremantle lineup. Probably should have beaten Subi, despite Subi's plethora of shots in that game. I thought South were good enough to take the win, just couldn't, I guess, get past Kate Ortlep, I think, who's pretty much was the one that saved the game for Subi on that day.
Well, they kicked 3 goals to nil and went down by 3 points, but South Fremantle rushed 13 behinds in that game, so they want to try and avoid that this afternoon. But Claremont, Jade, they're notorious for not kicking straight in front of goals. They're 3-9 off the boot in 2021, but they've got some weapons in the forward line.
Well, we'll have to see, won't we? See if they can kick straight today.
Perfect conditions this afternoon as we have a look at the South Fremantle lineup. They're just going through their warm-ups at the moment. Third meeting all time between these two teams. They met twice back in 2020, back in round 3, Claremont with a 57-point win and then a 56-point win back in round 6. As we have a look at the conditions this afternoon, currently 28 degrees and the wind 14 kilometres an hour to the northwest, so blowing towards the Dave Lindsay retirement villas over there on the far side of the ground, Deggers.
He was trying to sell one to Jess Barker last week. Special comments. He had the one across the thing sold there. So yeah, Dave Lindsay would definitely be covered in one of those positions. He lives down the road actually in Wembley. He's got the call at the Derby today for both derbies.
The other big game today between another Fremantle team.
And he'll be probably listening just before he goes on, see if he gets a Raz.
What are you looking forward this afternoon, particularly the team in navy and gold today, Deggers?
I like the way they constructed half-back. It's just about 450 deep entries. I had a chat to the coach, Jack Schwartz, who actually works with the state program too, which is Jade's co-captain of the state 19s. Jack coaches in that program. I had a chat to him about some deep forward 50 entries. So Valentini, Bennett, Franklin getting the ball in deep, putting pressure on. I love the way they light up below the half-back. I love the way they control the centre square, the box, and if they can just get an extra possession in front of the box, in front of 50 and go deep, I think that's what they'll be working on today. They've got some power once they get it in. It's just getting into an issue. But of course, the half forwards for South Fremantle are very clever too. So you should see Reedy and Boothman have an impact today. So they'll have their hands full. They won't have it all their own way, the Claremont halfbacks today.
So the players looking to get into position. As you can see on screen, the Tigers heading on out into position. South Fremantle still in a tight huddle at the moment. Do you give the Bulldogs a chance today?
Yep, they've got to kick goals, and obviously that's the way you win football. So it's not starting in the obvious. But I think Claremont will generate enough shots. If South Fremantle can be accurate, I think they've got a chance. A pound for pound, I guess Claremont should win. But if South Fremantle can use their speed and use their smarts, they've got a chance today.
So Claremont will be kicking to the right of your screen. That is the railway end of the ground. South Fremantle to the left of screen. Thanks to Kia, sponsors, wonderful sponsors so far this season. Thanks also to Optus. Front row screens, bringing you all the action. It's Matt Chetchins here, Clint Degebrot and Jude Britton with special comments today. Let's put it all on the line for tips.
Tips, Claremont, 3 goals, 2.
There you go. Check.
I reckon you're pretty close there, Daggers. I'm going to say 3 goals, 4.
Jade, you're the player that's played against these guys, so you can tell us a little bit. How can you see South Fremantle scoring today?
I just think they got to just get those repeat entries and shots on goal, because that's the same what you just said. You just got to get scores on the board, and if they can do that, then I think they'll match up well enough.
The opening bounce, and it's one down by the right hand of Husband. They managed to scrag the kick forward. Good link-up play early. Hacked inside 50 for the first time of the afternoon. One of the forwards just getting off the chain. Hand pass received now to White, but White ran into trouble. So South Fremantle with the rebound. Nice little floated hand pass over the top from Ugle, but put her teammate under a lot of pressure. That allows the scraps to be gathered there by Goranova. Hurried off her kick, so it's gratefully received there by Dirk. But Dirk's kick will be intercepted. That's Hongel who brings it out broadcast side. Good build-up play this time by the Tigers. Valentini down the line. This is good build-up play and into the safe hands of Sarah Garstone. Wheels around their second entry inside 50. That's good defensive work there, Daggers, and an intercepting mark by Casey Byrne.
Casey Byrne's little short one is effective in the hands of the skipper Invescio. Not much to offer, so down the line she goes. Matilda Dyke sets herself well, gets first hands on this, but the umpire sent a little push, and it's going to go to the Bulldogs. Bulldogs at half back.
Bit of zinc this afternoon too.
Yeah,
it's still technically summer, isn't it?
It's a good look. Diving for the mark and not taken. South Fremantle. Vecchio below her knees against Payne. Finds a player inside for South Fremantle. Looks towards the bullseyes, as you call it, Maddie. Coming flashing through is to Hakarana. She's a 19s player. Very exciting. Hunter Cronin looks to be chopping that ball forward, but it's going to be intercept marked by who other than Rachel Ortlep.
And Ortlep transfers play. It's been between both half-forward lines at the moment. Feature of the afternoon so far for the Tigers. Ball in the hand now of Brooke White. She's had a couple of early touches. Good strong lead out on the outer side. So a chance to re-enter 50. That's a good-looking kick. Up towards a 2-on-1 through the hands. They could... Player just bounces the ball, manages to get corralled. There's the first snapshot on goal, and it's there. Great start from the Tigers. Their third entry inside 50, Deggers, and they finally get a little bit of a reward.
It was Smith to Germanis. And that's exactly what you said, Jade, in the pre-call. A couple of repeat entries.
Yep, that's it.
Amy Franklin taking a mark high up the ground and from a long ball in from Brooke White. So looking for those deep entries. Ella Smith backing into the pack there was terrific to spoil that to ground. And of course, Tess Germanis is a very fleet-footed, smart, small forward.
First goal of the season for Germanis. Kicked one behind earlier in the season. So the opening score, we said that their kicking in front of goal will need to be pretty sharp today to beat a youthful side in South Fremantle. That is a fantastic start. So we're back in the middle on the Kia scoreboard. One straight to no score. One down again by Matilda Husband. They go off the ground again, out towards a one-on-one. Claremont forwards doing a good job of leading out to the ball, but a bit of a stray hand pass will allow the door to be open now by South Fremantle. Lovely clean pick up on the run there by Ugle. Fed it off to a teammate. Kicks forward as Vecchio inside 50. Get our first look at the Tigers' defence. They look to hold up at the moment. That was Ortlep. She goes wide now. That's a lovely looking kick, well weighted. And they look to build again on this outer side, wasting no time. So they peel off the 45-degree kick, back in towards the middle with Husband. Husband, no real pressure from the player on the mark, so can tumble a drop punt. Just goes over the head there of the intended target in Bennett, and that allows South Fremantle to mop up across half back. So Deggers, Claremont showing their intentions. They're not looking to go back, they're looking to play on at every opportunity so far.
Yeah, absolutely attacking from half back as this ball just spills out of bounds in front of Lauren Owakfa, and it'll be a free kick to Ortlep. That's Rachel Ortlep. Some good work behind the ball by Ebony Clarkson. Ortlep plays on quickly. Owakfa attempts to catch her up. She handballs to herself in the end. Ortlep looking for Hongel. Sophie McDonald. Pressing her is Udall. Dyke flicks the ball forward. Get our first look at Little, Ashley Little. Handballing towards the corridor. A teammate in the AFL 19s, Matilda Dyke, picks it up and hands off to the birthday girl, Arnett. To Ortlep. Cross looking for White again. It's been prominent early at half forward. It's been a half forward game for the Tigers so far. She's got a long kick and she drops it in front. But teammate coming over the back was wonderful to spoil. Was Holtz, Talia Holtz. Ball in for Claremont, however. She's going to fall for Valentini. And from here, Valentini's a chance. Jade Britton, you got to do the commentator's curse. It's your turn this week.
All right, all right.
Is she going to kick this?
I reckon she might.
Valentini in the hot pink boots lays this off to Franklin, and Franklin's a big chance from here. Loose checking from the Souths. I think they were riding Valentini's kick. It's widely known how well she uses the ball, and she's got a bit of depth of penetration on her shot too, so had every right to assume she was taking a shot, but Franklin snuck in. Amy Franklin has flashed in and out of games so far this year. Playing deep forward for Claremont, deliberate approach, and she smacks it straight through the middle, and she's got Claremont's second. And things are looking ominous through the middle of the ground for the Tigers.
They're using that switch really well, Claremont at the moment, using the width and then coming back inside. I think that's why they've had that dominance in the forward so far.
Looking for the outside of the ground. A couple of little fumbles too, Jade, from South Fremantle at half forward when they had a chance to go in long and deep. Lucy Gilchrist down there coming back after a head knock in round one. She's a productive.
Saw a bit of her in the NAB game, yeah. And she was the competition's best player and in the grand final as well. So big raps coming out on that play. We'll keep an eye on her, and unfortunate taking that injury back in round one. So Kia scoreboard has the Tigers 2 straight 12 as Franklin has kicked her second on the season. And they're starting to assert their dominancy from the middle of the ground. Player almost taken without the footy. In fact, the umpire agrees. So a bit of a reprieve this time for the Bulldogs. Kicks to a one-on-one contest. Goes over the head of those two players. Trying to track back the footy there is Fortescue. Bumped over the line and ball out of play just between the wing and half forward, and a chance for the Bulldogs to gather their breath. In fact, they'll get the free kick. So the umpires love being pedantic about these kind of things.
I think Gilchrist and Boothman were quite happy to have Boothman take the kick.
So Lucy Gilchrist pumps it long inside 50, off a Tiger hand at the back. A little hurried snap around the corner from Huggett. Leading goal kicker so far for South Fremantle's kicked 3 straight, but that one won't register a score. But because it is inside 50, we'll have a ball in. A lot of players around the contest. Almost ticked over 8 minutes played in this opening term. One down by South Fremantle this time. Hongel slung off the football, hacked out of midair towards the boundary line. Will be interesting to see what the umpire says. Out of bounds, so it'll be a free kick to South Fremantle. Another chance to reload at left half forward. Lauren Wakefer catches it on the side of the boot. In fact, don't think it was going where it was intended. Pushing off the kick there was going over into the middle of the ground. Slick hand pass there, linking up with Adele Arnott. She got spun in the tackle. Is that in the back? The umpire disagrees. Good pressure around the ball from Husband. Numbers favour the Bulldogs at the back. The 234s meet in the middle. That's a great tackle. Jars the footy loose, but South Fremantle with the crumbs, but no one at home at centre half forward. And the chance for the Tigers again to rebound from half back.
It's Arnett. Looking forward to it, looking towards Hamilton Smith, gathers it nicely. She leads Wakefer in the chase. Across to Garstone, a forward this year so far. Nice little connection she's followed up too. It's in the hands of Scanlon for her first game in 2021. Working back into defence now. South Fremantle under all kinds of pressure as Claremont arrive. She's been called for holding the ball. Just took that to the ground. It's Ella Ward, taken to ground by Weston.
She looks lively.
Weston's burst on the scene last year. I talked to, last week, I talked to Fremantle and they said, no, she hasn't burst anyway. We know exactly who she is. Joel Weston's sister. Has struggled with the kick. Her speed is not an issue, her desire for the footy. And she does it well enough there to get through the middle for the Tigers third. So Weston, the result of a good tackle in the forward 50. A hot decision on a young player in Ward, unfortunately. But great transition, Jay. That was intercept mark from Arnott at half back. And it travelled the length of the ground.
It's looking good for Claremont at the moment. I think South just need to get it deeper in their 50. They're kind of hovering around the top, not getting it in there far enough, and it's just rebounding quickly out from Claremont.
It's that final kick, isn't it? Because they look okay across half back there. I know that there was sort of one out there and put under a lot of pressure for that goal, but it seems as though they've got some good ball users in the middle of the ground, but it's that final kick and the shallow entries inside 50. So the Tigers have made a change on the ball. In the ruck department, how will South Fremantle respond? The Tigers kicking 3 straight. And they look to go again. This time the hand pass received and chopped down. Is that high? Yes, it is. It'll go the way of South Fremantle. So courageous work, earning the free kick.
The two captains.
That ball hung a long time in the air. A few players get stuck underneath it. Ugle on the scene, pushed off, taken without it, free kick. Now there's 2-on-2 inside forward 50. The Tigers only just getting players back, but they're running on their heels at the moment. So ball probably needed to be put in there a little bit earlier. The Tigers, well, that's ambitious, just taking on the player on the mark. Almost the check side around the corner, ends in the defender's arms of Amy Fortescue. From true centre half back, it's got Hongel out wide. Lovely weighted kick, bright blue wheels. She plays on, kicks down the line. Off the Bulldog palm, tracking back the footy now. Vecchio, and that is another stray kick back to Fortescue. Pushed off her kick, so that's better pressure this time across half forward. Here comes South Fremantle now. Vecchio loads up, and that's a good mark. Just spring-heeled Jack. She'll play on, load up, will Ugle to a vacant square. How will it bounce? It sits up. Bit of backspin on it and through for a rush behind. So a little unfortunate there, not getting the ball end over end, Daggers.
Yeah, you got a long ball into Little, who just wanted to run that through. Bennett, a lot of teammates together there in the 19s and 17s programs. That's Bennett's kick in looking for Western. She's affronted by Takarana. Takarana now has the work cut out to her to keep Goranova away from the ball. The quick kick in's okay. Oh, she's dropped the ball, unfortunately, Ward. She goes towards goal regardless, has a shot from 35, gets a little bit of foot on it, just enough foot to toe ratio, and she pulls around the corner, Ward. Great goal, took herself on. She had a little look at Ashley Little earlier, a little step, and she decided she could do the same. The big ruckman resting forward has hit the scoreboard for Souths. Terrific work, Emily Boothman, for the pressure on the far side. Takarana as well. The young, Jade, the young brigade, your teammates actually, in the Simply Energy AFLW 19s. You're the captain of that side, and you've seen a couple of your teammates go quite well just there.
Yeah, lots of them out here today. Looking good.
Including Emily Bennett, who brought that ball in initially, and of course you've played with Sasha Goranova as well.
Yeah, she's nice and strong.
It's a great competition when you can bring all these youngsters together.
Jade, you're allowed to say that they follow your example. They've learned everything from the skipper.
Yeah, I'm going to take credit for all of it, all the good stuff.
You just got to watch out on the training track if you disrespect Emily Bennett.
So first goal of the season for Ella Ward, just 19 years old, promising signs. Here come the Bulldogs again, just trying to bust her way through the tackle there was Gilchrist. But she turns it over, sitting under the high ball, taking a good mark is Templeman. Templeman out towards the outer side. Little hurried kick up towards right half forward. One-on-one contest. It's going to be won by the Bulldogs, but again, strong tackling across half back by the Tigers. A chance to rebound. Was that correct disposal? No. They are starting to win these little 50-50s now across half forward. Kia scoreboard has them down by just 2 goals. That's a good spoil on the footy. No mark's going to be paid, obviously. A bit of tunnel ball. Again, strong tackling. Now towards Ugle, fed it off by hand. So a 2-on-1 favouring the Tigers. How will the ball sit up this time for Ward? It won't, and it'll be mopped up in defence. And that is a beautiful kick coming out of defence from the Tigers.
That's Dyke to Elkington. Looking for husband further afield. Does enough. Wakefer flying in defence. Valentini. This is Kat Bennett. Gets her kick away under pressure. Looking for Garstone, who's started this game very well as a hit up forward. Running through the mark, unfortunately, was
50.
Wakefer. I think the umpire could have given her a little bit of credit. It wasn't too long after the mark that she was crossing to the interchange bench, but just to have to be a bit aware of that. Garstone is aware. She's taken it on. Vescio's come from miles to put pressure on her. Arnett, my apologies. Garstone's having her 4th possession in this change. He kicks it long to the square to Franklin, who's hard to beat in this situation. Great defensive work to bring the ball down for her. Ball free inside, forward 50 or deep inside 50, and she's actually been held towards the ground. Souths did everything right there. It was a terrific spoil, but then just the tackle lingered, and Franklin gets a chance at a number 2.
How's the run from Sarah Garstone? I don't like to drive that far, Deggers, and she managed to run and get an effective kick at the end of that chain.
I'm sure we could work a Kia reference into that. That's terrific from Garstone, yeah, to hit up forward and then a couple of possessions in the chain. The resultant balls with Amy Franklin, who should be a soda from here, Jade.
She should.
Strikes the ball nicely. She does enough to steer it through. Wasn't particularly confident after the foot strike, but the kid can kick, and Franklin's got 2. And after what is a promising several promising build-ups for South Fremantle, Claremont have gone coast to coast and scored against the flow.
Yeah, that's a bit of a heartbreaker there, and Jade Britton and Clint Daggerbot doing their best to put the double mocker on Amy Franklin, who came in to this round with 1-1, but she's gone 2 straight this afternoon, and
it's because I'm here.
That's right. Jade has got the non-commentator's curse. Jess Barker was good last week too. She said, no, this will go through. So unlike
just 18 years of age, Franklin.
Yep, turned 18 this year. Just has turned 18. Very promising young player who's applying her craft. West Perth product landed here at Claremont to develop her league ability.
So back in the middle. Again, the Tigers look to just set up. That was Goranova feeding it off by hand. Ooh, hand pass took a leg break turn. Still into the fortuitous hands of the Tigers. The barrel out towards right half forward. That would have been an impressive mark there by Dumanis. And then another whistle. It's a throw. So it'll come back into the hands of the Bulldogs. No real options going long, so they just chip over the top to Vescio. She started the game brightly.
Been very busy.
Kicks off 1 step, and a good spoil from behind there, that time from Goranova. Halved the contest and will force another stoppage as Vescio comes off with some oxygen and some water. Some hard running at this stage, so the umpire's going to spot out a free kick.
Yeah, just nicked Vescio's toe, unfortunately. She knew it too. she was pretty keen to get off the ground, and Weston went with
Hide.
her.
So it's Elkington loads up with the right boot. Great mark, just read the drop of the football so well. They can play on now. That was Demanis, and then a well-weighted kick across. They have to try and get over and close down. Little soccer off the ground is going to run out of tarmac, so a boundary throw in. South Fremantle breathe a sigh of relief as we're inside the final minute and a half. And yep, there will be a ball in. So it'll be important right now for South Fremantle to not concede. Claremont 4 straight on the Kia scoreboard. Brought down at ground level. Somehow the hand pass comes out the side. Now a vacant square. Which way will this ball bounce? It sits up. Can they keep it in? Was there a toe on there? No. So almost needing the goal line technology. Unfortunately, front row screens, we don't have a camera there on the padding of the goal, but it's through for a rush behind. And as we said, they've turned it over, so this will be costly.
Yeah, it was Pia Dirk. Just got a little bit of depth on the kick, and Gimanis read it really well before finding White dead in front. So terrific on the fast play rebound, but I guess with a minute to go, the coach's box next to us that are wearing the red and the white would be a little frustrated with the fast play.
So Brooke White, dare we say a veteran, 31 years old?
No, she's a veteran. She's been around a long time, Brooke.
Right foot drop punt is gun barrel straight. The Tigers have bought their kicking boots. 4 individual goal kickers in this opening term as we tick down to the end of this first term, thanks to Kia.
Go back to Dirk's defence work on the defensive line was very good there to foil Amy Franklin. Just needed a bit more composure with the kick, but we said that Claremont had struggled to kick straight, but we've been made lies of today. They've been wonderful inside forward 50, and they've been, as Jack Schwartz said during the week, they've been looking to get the ball really deep.
So that ends a very entertaining first quarter. The action is definitely hot. 28 degrees here at Revo Fitness Stadium. 5-1-31 to 1-1-7. And Jade, who caught the eye? Some of the better performers just very quickly at this quarter time break.
Pretty impressed with Amy's work down forward. 2 from 2, which is unusual for her. But yeah, she's been good. Sasha's been good through the midfield. The whole Claremont midfield, I feel like, has been pretty strong at getting those clearances and getting those deep entries. Boothman's been good for South.
And Vecchio as well, I think you'd agree, has been good. So just very quickly, the goal kickers. Amy Franklin, the only multiple goal kicker, has 2. Tess Demanis kicked the first. Brooke White and Michaela Weston, the only goal kicker, Ella Ward, for South Fremantle. When we come back, we'll wrap up some more of the numbers and go through what the South Fremantle Bulldogs on screen currently need to do to get back into this. We'll be right back at Revo Fitness Stadium.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Welcome back to Revo Fitness Stadium in Claremont. Current pitches at quarter time here. WAFLW, thanks to Optus, round 3 action to conclude what has been a very entertaining round 3. Yesterday at New Choice Homes Park, East Fremantle, with an emphatic 44-point win over Subiaco. It finished 6-9-45 to just 1 behind. And Subiaco, Deggers, as we have a look at some of the highlights of this opening term, 16-6, their all-time record, and no flags. And where's it all going wrong this year?
Yeah, very famous, obviously, Coastal Titans. Superbly dominant club for a long time. With Subiaco too, played in the grand final last year. Not many from the grand final side in that game yesterday. Really just sort of bereft of any connection. Claremont was super. Like, she had a couple of friends that joined her in there. I thought Moore was good too, thorough good, but just not enough winners across the ground. Whereas East Fremantle were able to travel the ball through the centre of the ground, through the corridor, just with ease yesterday. Looked really good with McMahon and eventually Evangeline Gooch got on top as well, and she was clean below her knees and really dominant. So just too many good players on the ground for East Fremantle yesterday. And
also yesterday down in the Peel region, David Gray's Arena saw the visitors, Swan Districts, the early favourites for the 2021. That's the 3rd season of the WAFLW competition, a 28-point win over Peel. As we have a look at some of the highlights, and an interesting start just on screen there was Templeman had a couple of early disposals, but it's really been Claremont's clean disposal and more focus heading inside forward 50. Would you agree, Jade Britton? Their cleanness with the ball going inside attacking 50 has been a feature of their game.
Yeah, and for sure. And they're keeping it down there well too. Repeat entries, like we said before, and they've just been executing on the board 5 from 5. So
wouldn't imagine that the South Fremantle team need to move many magnets around. Clint Degebrot, it's more not butchering the ball inside 50. We saw that their tackling pressure's been pretty good, particularly across half-back, but it's just that final kick that's letting them down.
Yeah, very young side too. I think you're right. In the middle period of that quarter, I think they won their one-on-ones, and I think that's would be the focus of the coach down there. Would be Bo McCormack would be, we're winning our 1v1s in this particular area. We've got a couple of players that are on top. It's just a matter of just caring for that football a little bit more and then making sure that we don't drop off. They started just a little bit wide of their opponents, and they came really close to the contest, and they were able to win 1v1. But eventually, just the strength of Claremont's ball movement, I guess, as the South Fremantle players got separated from their Tigers opponents, enabled some pretty free movement. But when you saw they were up and about, particularly over just under Nasi Jade, when they were pressing in the face and tackling, they would turn the ball over. Yeah. I agree with you, mate. I think they've got to go longer and deeper. So
the all-important first goal of this term, only trailed by 4 goals. As the umpire raises the ball aloft, we're due to start another 18 minutes of action. Round 3, Matt Chechens, Clint Degebrot and Jade Britton bringing you all the action from Claremont Revo Fitness Stadium as the ball comes out. This is a good bright start again for the Tigers. Propelling them forward is Hamilton Smith up towards the one-on-one, and there's Brooke White looking for 50 metres, and that's the second one. So a little bit of inexperience shows, and they give away 50, and Brooke White looks like she's about to run the 100 metres in Tokyo. Wastes no time, spears the ball. That's brilliant. So South Fremantle caught on their heels after the 50-metre penalty, and Claremont, maybe a bit more experience, look to just spear the ball up towards Amy Franklin, who has kicked 2 straight in this opening term, and not much of a breeze to speak of. The scoring end has been to the right of screen. So looking to make it 3 straight, and it was off the side of the boot and hooking badly off the boot through for a minor score. So a rare blemish in this game for the Tigers. South Fremantle collectively breathe a sigh of relief.
Higgins with the honour of the restart. Going to play on, which is a very clever thing to do with no one standing too close to you these days. Looking for Ward. Behind Husband, gets a fist on it. Garstone's on the ground now. Trying not to give a free kick away was Garstone. Effectively so. Tackles her opponent over the boundary line for a throw-in. That's Casey Byrne. Good to see her back. A couple of years ago, dominating this competition till a knee made her just have a couple of years or a season and a half off. So it's great to see Casey Byrne back in the Bulldogs jumper. Can't take it. Throw-in, obviously, you can't touch that, anybody. So it's an odd thing to see. 4 or 5 players not touch the football. This is Templeman, Bunbury product. Getting the ball through, but it's off Sarah Garstone's hand into the hands of Darcy Vecchio. Vecchio kicks towards to coming the other way is Ortler. It was a good kick by Vescio. There's no one there to be able to help her out. And over the back is Weston. Got to get a hold of her because she's super quick. She doesn't get rid of this legally. And she's given away a free kick, and it's with Higgins. Exciting, Weston. Luckily, Higgins was just able to snag a jumper. Weston charges the Higgins kick down. Resultant's going to be turned over to Payne. Must have lost it in the sun. Vescio there too. Charging in Elkington. Steps this way than that and feeds up a beautiful handball to Payne. It's a terrific build-up again. Low, flat and hard kick to Gimanis. Gets over her head into the hands of the Claremont player who wasn't really expecting it. Might have been Garstone, who was tackled fiercely over the line by her opponent.
Casey Byrne, a strong body slam in the back pocket, so manages to win that early contest and stop another shot on goal for the Tigers. So another important stoppage for the team in red and white. Hopefully this boundary throwing comes in a little deeper, and it does. It allows a good ruck duel this time, and just hacking it out of the air there was Ella Ward. But again, they're going to come back, the Tigers. Little kick coming laterally and good vision, not really allowing any chance for the South Fremantle defender to get anywhere near Brooke White, who's looking to add to her tally of 1 goal. Does she have the leg from here?
A lot of football in Brooke White. I'd suggest that this is going to go to the goal square, so Garstone's a chance. She does have the distance. It just depends if she makes her mind up to lay this up or not.
So the players flooding back to that goal square, and that's exactly where the ball goes, and marked in defence. That's why Clint Degerbrock makes the big bucks here. As they look to bring it out, that is again another shallow kick. They'd managed to link up well, and they get that clearing, rebounding outside of 50 now. And the chest mark's taken, so they can take the air out of the ball now. They've got 2 options short. They bring it into the corridor where they're outnumbered, but that is a great mark.
Into Cronin.
Out on the stretch, and looks to just bring it out towards the broadcast side. Ugle applies a bit of a shepherd, comes in and lays a great tackle, jars the footy loose there, putting her head over the football. This time was Boothman, not going anywhere. Was there prior opportunity? No. The umpire on the other side of that contest, and a ball up.
That's Ashley Little there.
So it comes up again. One down by Ward. Bit of volleyball being played at the moment. This is Hongel. Looks to assess her options, and the ball pitches right on the paint of 50 and out of play. So they say that pitched just inside. So they get the resulting turnover. Would have been a tough one to call. Dangerous kick inside. They're going to turn it over into the hands now of Bennett. Bennett feeds it off. They go inboard. Juggling attempt there by Valentini. Couldn't take the marking, then catches her opponent high, but the umpire didn't see it. So the ball goes up the chimney chute, and it has travelled the required distance, and they'll get another chance to reload the Tigers.
Chopped off this time by Ugle. Ugle coming out towards the wing. There's plenty of numbers here. Coming up is a hug it. She flies from the behind, causes the stoppage. The ball spills forward. Can't quite find the handle of it. It is right. She's wrapped up in a Bennett tackle, which are very hard to break. And we'll get a ball up. And Wright's got a big smile on her face. It must have been. I thought I'd pass her. She's still smiling. Emily Bennett must have been a nice tackle. Boothman off hands. Clever. Gets it onto the outside of the boot, unfortunately, under pressure from Goranova. And Goranova should be able to take the resultant free kick for last possession out of bounds. Boothman's not happy. Got a frown on her face. It's been very good this year as a youngster, Boothman, to start the season. This kick is in towards a nest of 3 South Fremantle players who can't quite get this right. It's in the hands of Smith through Brooke. She kicks it over her shoulder to Scanlon's got the run. She's been working on her tan, that's for sure, Scanlon. Been training in the summer with the West Coast Eagles. This is Ugle. Pressure on Garstone. Getting some help now from Cowald. Falling on the ground, Cowald. Brooke White feeds this ball off towards Scanlon. It's going to be some pressure on here for the South Fremantle defence. Scanlon turns one way. She pulls it around the corner and doesn't do quite enough. Actually, she did, but it was touched on the way, called by the field umpire. She's had 7 hugs, which should be $7 worth of fines because she has just celebrated a point.
Surely double the fines for the captain too, coming in, and Ella Smith applying the headlock, but it's only a minor score, so South Fremantle dodge another bullet. Now they've got a lot of numbers down the line.
You'll never see a point celebrated like that, Jade.
Well, I don't know. Tony Lockett's point after the siren against Essendon in '96 was celebrated pretty hard. Kick back inside 50 at the moment. This is their 6th entry inside 50. Hack forward by White. A bit of a chaos ball. Players go to ground. They're over their footy at the moment. No prior opportunity. Another ball up.
I know you're a young man, but that's 4 years before Jade was born.
I am 41 this year, Daggers.
Yeah, you got a few on, mate.
Don't look a day over 39. So the ball back in board. That's in the back and it's going to be paid. So eventually the sheer weight of numbers and forward 50 entries will give them another opportunity. A little overzealous in the back line and getting the set shot. An opportunity now for Ella Smith.
We're allowed to say that she's quite clever there. Just felt the contact from behind and stopped going for the football and got bowled over. Experience, Ella Smith. Another Bunbury product. So there's a bit of a Bunbury connection to this game.
Well, you know, there's been some amazing people born in that city. Deggers.
Greg Budge.
In she comes, looking for her first goal of the season. That starts right. It's swinging back. Did it have the journey? It does. Now you can celebrate, Ella.
She just actually checked over her shoulder to see what the signal was before she gave it the double arm pump. Very good. Hopefully Maddie Scanlon gets over there and gets her in a headlock too, because it was a very excited Ella Smith that celebrated Scanlon's first point in the WAFLW season 2021.
Tremendous kick, and that gives further breathing space to the Tigers, who now move to 6-3-39 to 1-1-7.
The game is more competitive than the scoreboard suggests at this stage. It's just a matter of South Fremantle being unfinished. So we'll go to the centre of the ground with Lauren Wakefer. Now Wakefer's tapping's pretty interesting. She likes to go outside the circle. Umpire's not satisfied with the way the teams are set up, and that's because South Fremantle have done a pretty good coaching move. The coaches said, let's play with 5 in the middle, and that'll help us get a clearance. And now we're playing with 3 in the middle, which won't help. In fact, there's only 2 in there. No, there's 4 in there now. So interesting tactics by South Fremantle employed here. It's a very good idea to have 1 extra at the stop.
Maybe you saw that from the Queen's Gambit on Netflix. Moving the chess pieces around. They've got to try something.
See how I go here with Wakefer in the ruck. She likes to get outside with the tap. She does. She gets towards Ugle, feeding off. Just a bit of a slow handball allows Elkins to come in and put pressure on. Flashing through now Vecchio. Ball forced forward by South. Reedy coming the other way. Loves to do this. Pulls the ball around her shoulder to Hongellan. Tucker Rayner, who does enough. She's very quick. That's 1 bounce. No one will catch her. She pulls this ball towards a full forward. Hits her on the chest. And she's done this a few times already in her very short league career. Wasn't playing footy at WAFLW level last year. She was playing in the community. She has played 7s for Western Australia. She has played touch for Western Australia.
Wow.
But she is bursting onto the scene in WAFLW. And she hits Zoe Huggett, laces out.
And form says that Huggett should put this one through. She's kicked 3 straight.
If you can outrun Hongel, you're going okay too. And Huggett does get this on the board. This is good from South. Wackford with a clever tap. Ash Reedy reading the ball and changing directions. Tucker Rayner with a burst of speed. And every time I see her play, I think there is no I in team, but there are a heap of them in individual brilliance. And you can see what she's bringing to the game of WAFLW in Western Australia.
But even the kick to have the nous to put it almost on a frozen rope, wasn't it? No elevation whatsoever, bit of a 2-iron.
I was going to say to Jodie that the fact that Claremont are lowering their visions, they haven't done that so far this season, it's working. And of course, Tucker Rayner just lowered a vision then. It changes the game.
Perfect kick.
So the immediate response on the Optus 5G scoreboard, 6-3-39 to 2-1-13. Better signs from South Fremantle.
When they move that ball fast, that's when they, like that ball movement there was perfect for them because they didn't have any time to let Claremont set up behind. So kind of a gamble sometimes. Sometimes it's turning it over, but just then it paid off. So.
Has indeed. The thoughts of Jade Britton, Matt Chetchins and Quint Daggerbrot bringing you all the action. The Optus round 3 WAFLW season. And South Fremantle get another reprieve. They look to bring the ball in towards the middle of the ground. Good spoil on the footy. Stooping down, trying to collect the crumbs there was the South Fremantle player, but the ball gets jarred loose in the tackle. So a bit of a foot race on the outer side. That was Templeman. Ran into trouble. Prior opportunity. No. We'll have a ball up. And a chance to gather a little bit of breath into the lungs. It's quite warm out there, 28 degrees. Plenty of zinc applied this afternoon. And again, South Fremantle do well to bottle the ball up. We're inside 7 minutes remaining in this second term. South Fremantle not kicking back-to-back goals so far this afternoon. So let's see if they can break that. We'll have another stoppage on the outer side. We've seen Claremont sort of overuse the footy a little bit in the early stages of this term.
Maybe a little bit more pressure. Wakefer is 16 years of age in the ruck here against Husband, and she's doing a fair job here. She won another tap there. She's gone Claremont's way, but just using her body work. She's doing Monday sessions with a specialist ruck coach, and just pointing out that she's giving a bit of size.
Almost referencing another player that probably Jade's never heard of, and Corey McKernan used to just put his fist through the football and gain metres. So kick comes down the outer side. Again, South Fremantle getting numbers to the contest. South Fremantle player taken without the footy this time. It's a bit of a rolling maul at this stage. Trying to break her way through a couple of tackles was Western, but they get the ball out now to Templeman, who gets it very close down the line, but it's going to be chopped off and into the grateful arms of Emily Bennett. Bennett, good 50-metre kick down the line through the hands of the South Fremantle defender. Bevy of bodies around this contest. Good strong work there by Arnott, linked up with a teammate. Little kick inside 50 is going to trickle out of bounds, so the free kick resulting into the hands now of Talia Holtz, one of the more senior members of this South Fremantle squad. In fact, the umpire's going to call a ball in, so changing their mind. The umpires have done a good job this afternoon.
It's just one of those ones where it did come off the foot, but it was inside the arc, so just a little bit of confusion. We had an umpire last week, an umpire paying last touch. And the central umpires were terrific in just making sure that the game was going well. It's
good that they opened that line of communication. Now Hongel pushed an opponent, the advantage taken. So on the pain of defensive 50, up towards a one-on-one. That favours South Fremantle. Now they've got numbers. In fact, it's going to be a one-on-one, so they're looking to chase back into it. Now the Tigers somehow get 3 back to the contest. Well done in defence there, standing up well and just firing off the hand pass out towards the outer side of the ground. Another good stretching mark. So a chance now for South Fremantle to again through Templeman. She's had plenty of the football in this term. That's an interesting kick. Bodies go crashing in. Claremont look to stand up. They just overrun the footy this time. Nice little fake underneath the pack. They feed out the effective hand pass. Interesting bounce at the footy. And again, Claremont numbers at the back. They get a clearing kick through Ortlip.
Kat Bennett, Elkington. Build up quick again. Long kicking, good chase from Gilchrist. Ball in the set towards the front end of the box. Valentini, it's a dangerous spot for her to be in Western now. She decides to run, no one will catch her, but she drops the ball over to Germanis. Germanis has got some pace as well. Left foot up, tracking this towards the boundary. Best result here for South will be to get this over. It stays in, but South's first to recover. Goes across goal towards the top, the birthday girl and Arnett. And Arnett puts it straight through the middle. What a birthday gift. Terrific work from the youngster in Michaela Cocking. Just that error to get that ball central rather than down the line, and Arnett was all over it.
Well, she had a one-on-one in the pocket, but what you probably couldn't see off screen was the fact that 2 Tigers were streaming unopposed towards the goal square. So she did well to halve that contest initially and then just dangerously kick back in towards the middle, and a nice present with the ribbon and bow, and Arnott becomes, again, another individual goal kicker for the Tigers.
Somewhat against play, I'd suggest there, Claremont. So managing to score, even with South Fremantle, having dominated possession for the last couple of minutes.
Inside 3 minutes remaining, second term, thanks to Optus scoreboard.
That long ball in, Jade, that Huggett provided. That's a Tahakarena, but she was actually on the bench at the time.
Needed her then.
Sophie McDonald very quick too, the Claremont player. Amy Franklin gets up really high, didn't really look at the football, takes Ward out. She recovers the bouncing ball, gives it to Weston. Weston decides to run, Templeman's chasing. Templeman's no slouch either, she grabs her around the head, what the umpire see. You just see that the desire for Templeman to be able to run Weston down just caused a little lack in technique. Let's get those hands down. The torpedo punt was an interesting choice. Through Scanlon's hand, it gets her hair pulled quite viciously actually. That's not Ugle flashing behind the ball. That's Kanioska. Did I get that right? Sorry. Kanikoska. The ball goes off the Claremont boot and out of bounds for a kick into South Fremantle. They've got to try and find a South Fremantle player down there. It's all Claremont. Germanis standing the mark there. We'll get a restart. Bit of sting just out of this now with just under 2 minutes to play. Hot day. Really, we haven't only been really one terrible game so far, and that's a terrific mark out in front by Holtz. Holtz down the line. Bennett carries her, flying in defence there. Look to be Bescio again. McDonald tries to weave her way through, lays off a handball to Bennett, gives it to her sister Bennett. Goes down the line towards Hamilton Smith, who's spent a bit of time on the bench. We started to be thinking that she might have been injured, and she accidentally toes this ball over the line. I was a bit worried about Hamilton Smith. We were watching her down there, and she spent a bit of time on the bench, but just receiving some coach's instructions. She seems to have recovered, maybe just needed an extended break. One terribly hot day so far in this season. Blocked her approach to the ball. There was little, incidentally, but it still was there. The Claremont Swans game, the 40-degree day at Bassendean was the real hot day. We've been so it's hot today at 29, but we've been really lucky so far. We're not playing in any 39s and 42s.
So the ball goes down the line. We're in the closing stages of this second term. That could be incorrect disposal. So another chance. They got a late goal in the first term, the Tigers, to break hearts. Could they do it as we've got 43 seconds and counting? Kick will favour the forward into the pocket and out of play. So trying to take a good, strong contested mark there was Demanis, but unfortunately couldn't just reel it in. So the clock continues to roll inside 30 seconds.
Some kind of kick from Scanlon.
It was.
If she had gone to the top of the goal square, she might have had a sausage.
Yeah,
sausage there.
and only off a couple of steps too. So very important stoppage in the context of the game for South Fremantle. And incorrect disposal. So they managed to stand up, and barring a disastrous kick out of defence, they should be able to get through this term right on cue into the hands of the Tigers player. Just 1 second remaining. Was that mark taken? The umpire's paid it, so
we are closer to the siren.
Interesting. Well, sound does need to travel, doesn't it? So rather fortuitous, but as we said, the umpires have been fantastic this afternoon and throughout the season. So a very late chance for Claremont to drive another dagger into the Bulldogs' heart, and that will not travel the required distance. So just that brings us to the major change. So Claremont extending their quarter time lead out now to 7-3, 45 to 2-1 of South Fremantle. Better signs for South Fremantle going forward, Jade Britton, but still a rather large margin to try and make up at half time.
Yep. I think Boothman's been good, but I think they need to get Ash Reedy involved in the ball a bit more, because as we saw down there, when she got it, she was creative and ended up creating something for them on the scoreboard. And Boothman's also been pretty good. So, already said Boothman. Yep. Too much Boothman.
You can't have too much Boothman. You're right about Ash Reedy. So Ash Reedy's actually going by Ash Little at the moment. So you would have heard in the call, you would have heard Little approaching the footy. That's the player who is registered here as Reedy, but has requested that we go by Little. And she is a dangerous player. She's a very clever player in traffic, and she's got a great foot too. I think you're right, Reedy onto the ball. I think Darka Rayner probably needs a run in the middle. What else would you do there, Jodie?
I think South are trying to move the ball quite quickly at the moment, but so are Claremont. So I think maybe a bit of composure, especially coming out of the back there. We've seen them turn it over quite a few times. Coming out of the back 50.
Suggest that Gilchrist is having a turn at sort of half back and half forward, just out of the middle at the moment, just as she comes back. But it might be, I'd be checking with her if she's okay to have a little run in the middle. Of course, we've got to be very cautious about her return after her head knock in the first quarter of the season, when she had a couple of touches in that game. So
we've arrived at half-time. The players have exited towards the changing rooms. The umpires making their way off the ground. We'll have a quick word from our sponsors. When we return, we'll go through some of the highlights of the action-packed round 3 contest. At half-time, it's the Tigers by 32 points. We'll be right back.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Welcome back to Revo Fitness Stadium here in Claremont, the home side with that handy 32-point lead, as you can see on screen, 7-3 to 2-1, extending their quarter-time lead of 24 points out to 32. The goal kickers firstly for the team with their noses in front. Adele Arnott on her birthday, a recipient of a bit of a gift from the South Fremantle defenders. Tessa Demanis kicked the first of the afternoon. Amy Franklin has been a live wire up front. She's kicked 2 goals. Also, Brooke White and Michaela Weston both kicking individual goals in that first term. And Ella Smith from a nice set shot, bringing it right to left with the agency of the breeze, getting her first and the only goal for the Tigers in the second term. For the team that's in a little arrears at half time, Ella Ward kicking their first and Zoe Huggett, after some very good build-up play, kicking the second goal for the Bulldogs, who have a lot to do, but better signs for them in that term. Would you agree, Clint Degebrot?
Absolutely. You can see, they've got an obvious plan. That you can see what they're trying to do, and you can see that they're capable of doing it. It's just a matter of making sure that you can complete that work. And Jade was talking at half-time about just being a little rushed perhaps and not being able to finish. And the difference is when they finish, they can transition really well. And when there's a little fumble here and there, they're bringing the oppo into it.
How do you see the battle in the middle panning out at the moment? Because Claremont dominated in the early stages, but then South Fremantle, particularly in the middle part of that second term, Jade Britton started to wrestle that ascendancy back.
Yeah, I think their tackle pressure kind of lifted a lot, and I think they were getting, first hands of the ball more than they were in the first quarter. So I think that's positive signs going into the second half.
As we can see on screen, Franklin has been a strong marking target up forward, Clint, and a recipient of some good build-up play across half forward.
Yeah, she's been able to be in the game today, much more so than she has in previous games. Obviously, kicking sort of 3 goals for the season so far and 7 goals today certainly brings you forwards into the game. Brooke White's been very good for her too, as has Valentini, who gets up nice and high. Germanis has looked dangerous the whole time, so she looks to regain some of her 2020 form. But Jade's call in the middle too, we were talking before about Wakeford going in and then putting some of those youngsters around. Wakeford was winning the ruck and getting it towards Vescio. So it'd be interesting to set up see if Coach Bo McCormack sets up with Wakeford and some youngsters with Vescio in a sweeper to see if they can't continue to generate some forward movement. The only thing, of course, you have to connect at the front of the box.
Yep.
You have to connect with the front of the box because you don't want to just go to Ortlep and those powerful halfbacks. And when you look up as a South Fremantle side and you see Ortlep and you see Hongel, you see McDonald, and you see Bennett standing there, it's not an attractive prospect to go along to them.
Tua Karina, we just saw one of the best highlights so far of the game, just backing her pace, burning off an opponent, lowering the eyes, and then finding their spearhead, so it seems, in 2021 in Zoe Huggett. Yeah,
the former East Fremantle ruckman, played State 18s as a ruck too. She used to share the duties at that level with Sonia De Rizzi, a couple of famous names and a couple of South Fremantle names too. So yeah, Huggett provides a good target, and she'll finish off any good work. A couple of times she's waited for it to bounce, and it hasn't probably been her go. And a couple of times she's attacked it. So I'd love to see her continue to do that. But if they're going to feed the ball into Huggett, she's going to capitalise on most.
So just watching some of these late highlights there at half time as we see
barefoot
some of the locals out there.
Capri pants. They're not quite capri pants, are they? But
I'm not going to enter that into the world of fashion. I think that's more your domain there, Deggers. But a lovely day of football.
There's a kid, beautifully dressed chap in the middle of the ground too. He's all in green and white. We're not going to get it there. We've got to look at him now. He's come fully dressed to play, and he's been out there every opportunity having a kick. I'd love to know what club that strip is.
Maybe we can send down Jade Britton at half time.
He's just tried to Tuhakarana step in the middle of the ground too, and he's cut one high from Big Brother.
Well, with just under 4 weeks away until the WAFL season round 1, let's have a look at this great feature on the Subiaco Football Club as they gear up for another big season in 2021.
For me, I'd finished uni at Deakin University in Melbourne, and after that point I was ready for a new challenge. I'd spent 2 years at Frankston Football Club, and Perth is something that's always interested me. And I come over here to see what it would be like to work and live here, and 7 years later, here I am.
I loved everything I had going on in Melbourne at the time. I was playing footy at a great footy club, Frankston, and loved that, so it was a really tough decision. But yeah, when I came and met and saw the club, and having Lockie here obviously made it a lot easier to move, and I'm really rapt I did. It was a great choice that I made at the time.
been ingrained in the culture here that's been set well before we arrived, and the big thing for me is the written or unspoken fabric of the club, the standards that they hold.
Yeah, I think it brings everything together. So in terms of the professionalism of the place is second to none, the club culture and the inclusiveness of the place. And I think Subi, what it does really well is combines those things together. And I think that's the real charm about the place.
Yeah, state footy is a huge honour. Just growing up in Victoria to one day pull on the big V and not being able to do it, moving to WA was always high on the bucket list, and every year it comes around, you're sort of scratching yourself, hoping you're going to make that team and represent the state. Probably a highlight for us is when we did beat the big V and put them into retirement.
That win in Victoria after not beating him for 70 years, that was huge to be a part of and celebrated appropriately, and then the one the following year in South Australia was huge as well. So it's something that we're really grateful that we get to be a part of. So really thankful for the support that Kia provides that to continue to keep going.
And the benchmark of the WAFL goes back to back. One of the most emphatic performances in recent grand final history.
That tag of being hunted is one of two ways you can approach it. You can be fearful of it, or you can embrace it and realise that every game is an opportunity for either team to win, and if you're not desperate enough, you can slip away really quickly. So it's a good way for just continuing to hone your skills and make sure that you're ready to go every week, because if you're not, someone's going to get your number.
I hereby declare Lachlan Delahunty from the Subiaco Football Club winner of the 2019 Sandover Medal with 28 votes.
Yeah, it's a huge honour, and it's a whirlwind of a week to see the players that have won it before me, and to be a part of that sort of history now and the Sandover family was an incredible experience and something that I'll certainly value forever.
It's a little bit cliche, but it really is a huge honour to be captain of Subi Footy Club and a club like this. When you look about the men who have come before me and held this position, you know, they're really well respected guys in the community. If I can have anything near the sort of impact those guys had on their playing group and the club going forward, then I'll be really proud of what I've been able to add to Subi Footy Club when I do hang up the boots.
And now Delahunty, the Sandover medalist, has to finish it. Will he? Can he? Oh, that is the play of the year! Outstanding, Subiaco.
This footy club is, for us, is like our family, being away home from Victoria. I think it's fair to say that for both of us. They've embraced us, we've embraced it, and being a part of it is a big part of why we're here.
Sort of pinch yourself every time you pull on the jumper, because this is a moment in our life that we're cherishing and enjoying, and something we'll never take for granted.
Well, there you have it, our feature piece on the Subiaco Lions. It was a rare sight not seeing the maroon and gold ribbons on the Premiership Trophy last year, obviously going to South Fremantle, but no one would be writing off the Subiaco Lions for the upcoming season in 2021. Just 3 weeks away to the opening bounce, and I'm sure everyone will be keen to get back to watch some live football. We'll be back with our live game here at Revo Fitness Stadium on the other side of this break. The second half, can the Bulldogs bite back? We'll be right back.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Welcome back to Revo Fitness Stadium. Some extra sound effects. And Matt Chetchins, Clint Degebrot and Jade Britton, the Maddie medalist from yesterday in a losing team. Don't want to dig up the past, Jade. You went down by 28 points, but you took home the medal. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a tough game. Swans just played our game and outplayed us a little bit, I think. But yeah, I think it's a good learning curve for us because we've been pretty successful the past 2 weeks.
Kate Bartlett kicked 3 in a losing team. Good signs.
Yeah. She's having an awesome season so far. She's super confident and leading up hard at the ball. So
the excited noises because Emily Bennett's gone forward.
Yeah.
Coach Jack Schwartz.
Well, he's promised us some changes.
Is he safe from McDonald's at full? Yeah. Anyway.
We'll wait to see what's happening, and they win the first hit out to the Bulldogs. They need a few more of those this afternoon. Interesting hand pass, fantastic tackle by Goranova.
Hug it in the ruck.
So this quick play on has been a feature for the Tigers throughout 2 and a bit terms. Nice fancy bit of footwork there by Valentini. Just pops the ball over the top into the arms of Weston. So Weston assessing the options. Will elect to just go very high up in the sun. A few players shielding their eyes. It's going to be a tough one to mark. South Fremantle stand up again at the back. Little fake hand pass there. Inboard to Ugle. Has to spin around off one step. Trapped by Vecchio. She links up with the teammate. Bit of a scraggy kick coming out from Gilchrist. Now there's no one further forward of this ball. So the hand pass is going to be received in the middle and over the top. So there's a foot race at the moment. Who's going to win now? Hongel's got 2 to beat. Elects just to take down the South Fremantle forward. Well, she's on a hiding to nothing. And in the end, gives away the free kick to a Karina. Did I say that right, Deggers?
No, none of us have.
No.
Because we're not rolling the R. Takarana.
Beautiful.
Takarana. They're going to forgive us as long as we're excited about their daughter and granddaughter. Grandfather George is a massive fan of the young lady. He travels around everywhere and watches her play, whichever sport she's playing.
Beautiful. Well, this will be her first ever goal. Can she do it? After a big sprint, she comes in and just misses to the left-hand side, but no doubt by what she's shown this afternoon, Deggers, that won't be her first opportunity by the end of the season.
Terrific by Hongel to give a professional free kick away because it was a goal, pick up and goal. Also take a shot. And Hongel is the recipient of the kick in. Hunter Cronin stands her mark. Another good young player for South Fremantle. Huggett and husband. Off hands to Smith, the skipper, towards Valentini. Bit of pressure on her from behind, from Higgins. She works her way through and then gets a push in the back. Well, no, she's actually been called for holding the ball. She tried too hard. That's going to Cowald. So Cowald looking for the centre, high up and under. It's going to ask a lot of the player in Holtz, but she does plenty. She then plays on inside too for Garstone. Ball inside, although tracking behind is little, and Hongel is able to jump in front and take the intercept. This is where the Tigers are very good in their build-up. Pressure this time, Weston, over goes Ugle, Weston to Goranova. Goranova intercepted this time by Kolock. Can she do a little bit better with this one? She drives the line instead towards Wakefer. She takes the catch overhead over Franklin. Now Wakefer has done this at training a lot. That's a nice ball in too. Lots to be asked of little Hongel, very experienced. And speaking of experience, it's Rachel Ortlep, 10th season she says. Just about holding the ball. It's a little out the back. She tips it onto the boot, but she pulls it too far.
Literally with a basketball steal, just wrestled the footy out of the hands of her opponent there, did little, and unfortunately can't add to her 1 goal total this season. See that a lot on TV, don't we? The players going with the outside of the boot when a drop pump would suffice, but here come Claremont. They got a lot of space to manoeuvre. Kicks out towards the broadcast side, off hands, out of play. The Energy scoreboard has the 32-point lead. Remains the same as we await our first score. For South Fremantle, Claremont just extending their lead by a point, so the ball will come back in. Little shallow throw in, it's going to be patted down. Going without the footy that time was Ella Smith. Great tackle there again by Goranova. Likes it at the cold face. Smith couldn't effect a clean tackle, and up towards Hongel. Couldn't take the mark. In goes Little. Little fires off the hand pass. Very creative little kick around the corner. So tracking back the footy now will be Ortlip. She did well. Was she taken without the football? Managed to gain 5-6 metres with the hand pass and then out of play. So good play all round, and we'll have another ball in.
16 years old.
Yeah.
2v1. Terrific work, Wakefer.
So another stoppage. Not as many players around the drop of the football this time. Just going to be grabbed out of the ruck, hacked around the corner towards a one-on-one contest. They bring it down at ground level. That was Matilda Dyke. South Fremantle somehow muster a shot around the corner, and Hongel willing to let that bounce off the chest through for a minor score.
South Fremantle set up pretty well here.
So 2 behinds for the Bulldogs. Claremont yet to open their account. 3 behinds. Those that can't do teach as the ball goes sailing out towards these wonderful apartments. So another chance. They've really made a better start and a fist of a fight in this third term. Back inside 50. Little did well to just slap the ball over the top. Will it allow a goal? Could be a goal assist, but the kick was well smothered. Bit of volleyball in the pocket. One way then the other. Snap around the corner from Cronin is there. That is superb. Working in the telephone booth, slapped it on the right boot, and it sails over the goal umpire's hat. Jade Britton, how good was that?
That was perfect. Couldn't hit it better.
Hunter Cronin, I think it was, her first goal of the season, just 18 years of age. What a time to kick it too. And Clint Daggerbrot, they finally get a little bit of reward now for those multiple forward 50 entries.
And all the youngsters on show, there was little touch that kept the game alive. Wakefer just stopped in traffic, and she almost was able to do the same thing. Then the feed out to Cronin was excellent. South Fremantle, their youth policy, and they're going to be setting up themselves. I think they're setting themselves up for a number of very good years to come.
Just looking at the work from Little as well. She's been lively in this term and just flicking the ball over the back of the pack earlier. So almost setting up another goal. This is superb work at the moment from the Bulldogs. They kick 1-3 in this term, so they finally ask a question of the Tigers. And they look to respond immediately as they kick forward by Andy Payne into the hands of the South Fremantle defender. Now hurried off the hand pass, so that was a little bit dangerous coming back in towards the corridor, but good mopping up. Again, the bevy of bodies around the footy. That kicks off the side of the boot. Now, the Bulldogs look to be outnumbered there. Good tackle. And another very good tackle. Is that holding the ball? It is.
South are looking hungry now.
It's Kanakoza at half-back with the tackle on the very speedy Weston. Running over the mark. Just a little bit before the whistle was Weston. Keen to use her speed. So Kanakoza got a second chance from further ahead of the ball. I think we're just stopping play while Wakefer's a bit of a nickname we've given her because she likes to get involved with things. Now Wakefer's just coming off. I think she's just got a high cork or a little knee in the guts in the centre bounce clash with Husband. Just come off second best, so hopefully that's just a reset. Catch your breath. Just do a systems check, and it's just a little corked thigh. Fingers crossed. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, that's for sure. In the ruck v Husband. Kanakoza meanwhile. Souths have a chance to build again. Little connection to Gilchrist is good. Good decision making on the far side of the ground. Vescio's making some noise. It's going that way, but Bennett's read this really well. Tucker Rayner. Bennett's going to have to get a body on here. She does very well to keep the ball in front. Tucker Rayner harasses her now. Now Bennett's got the issue with the body pressure. It's Garstone and Vescio. Clever from Garstone just to push the ball away towards Scanlon. Scanlon hovers over the footy. Gets engaged with a wrestle with Vescio. No real response there. This looks to be Hamilton Smith driving down the line. Bumped as she kicked, and she's put it out of bounds in the full. On the far side of the ground will be Dirk. Here, Dirk. And South Fremantle have got some good ground control and are spending some time in possession of this football.
And the ball yet to go inside forward 50 for the Tigers.
Vescio, little kicks a little tight for her. Hamilton Smith crashes into her back. No free kick. Spinning is Dirk again. Tackled and lets that go in front of Gilchrist. Out the back, Brooke White. Tracking her very well as Holtz. Inside to Scanlon's good. Kanakoza with the chase. Back to White again. Back to Scanlon. Forward 50 deep entry coming now. Spreading across the ground is Weston. That goes her way. Western should be able to get the run of this. If you can't get a handle on it, you're not going to catch her. Little fumble allows the defender to stay in touch. Doesn't get stepped yet, but is on the ground. Step now. Western goes towards the goals, and she should have herself a sausage. It goes across the face and through for a point. All the speed and all the gameplay that she's got. She's got one little final thing to finish herself as a very good footballer, and that is just to...
Well, left her opponent on her backside with what can only be described as sort of a little ankle breaker, and then unfortunately just couldn't finish.
Colwell did pretty well just to keep pressure on despite being on the ground perhaps, but... And again, Western probably could have run to the kickoff line.
So South Fremantle, again, looked to build up. Did well to just gather the composure and then dink the kick over the top towards Canacosa. She's made a pretty good start, but seems to have a habit of just stepping around the mark each time and just steps around the would-be tackler, and then the hurried kick's going to be intercepted. So the Tigers... The umpire said play on because the Claremont player just ran too fast, and they bring it back inboard to Western. Just missed the target with their hand pass. She'll look to go again. Good strong forward line pressure here by the Tigers. Bit of a 2-on-1 here at this contest. They kick it up towards the kickoff line. Good work there. And we're waiting on the whistle, and it's going to be a free kick to the Tigers. Not sure if you saw what happened, Jade Britton, but my eyes were on the ball carrier. Yeah.
Bit of high ball.
However, it's going to end up in the hands of Brooke White, who can add to her goal that she kicked in the first term. So kicking towards the same end of the ground. Chance to double her tally and join Amy Franklin as the only multiple goal kicker this afternoon. Gets very close to the player on the mark and just leaves it to the left of the upright, a minor score.
She's one of those players you can see if it's a goal or not, just by her reaction on the kick, and you can see her tipping over like she's playing Mario Kart in 1998.
Mind you, we did have the Tigers captain celebrating a point before as well, so they're keeping us on our toes up here.
I know Ella Smith will appreciate us repeatedly bringing that up too. Expect a text message from the Tiger skipper.
High kick in, comes in, and that is a good mark. Taken over the back there. Chance to move it down the line through the hands of the intended target. Swinging around on the right boot there was the Claremont midfielder as they go again back dangerously in towards the middle of the ground. Good mark on the stretch there by Sophie McDonald. Goes by left boot, centering pass. Vecchio did well to halve that contest. Good forward line pressure again. Kicks travel back towards the middle of the ground. Tracking that back was Canacosa. She tries to stand tall. Does well, and again a teammate lends some sturdy hands and applies the effective tackle. And we'll have another stoppage inside forward 50 for the Claremont Tigers.
Canacosa did well to hold Scanlon up then. Huggett against Gimanis. Gimanis doesn't jump. Huggett extracts the football. Goes across the 50 to Sullivan. Her kick ineffective in the hands of Hongel.
Oh, good
finished
vision.
with Payne, and Payne's running at the goals. Does enough, I think, just to get that through. Did it clip the post? No, Payne turned what should have been a defensive exit for South Fremantle Bulldogs into a score, and Andy Payne, who had played so well last week here at Revo Stadium.
How good was the slick hand pass from Sophie McDonald? Just fed the eye of the needle there through the thread, and that was superb.
And just good all-round defence from the Tigers too, Jade Britton.
Yep, locking it in there.
The game has swung around. We've all locked into the forward 50 of the Bulldogs, and then Bulldogs were not able to get out of the ball out of the Tigers' defence. I've just noticed the Bulldogs just make their errors inside the corridor instead of outside, and that kick was on the 45 into the corridor rather than down the line. And sometimes under pressure, boring's just fine. I imagine the coach would agree. We've got another breach somehow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got a South Fremantle player in the wrong spot again. This will be a free kick this time, I think. Not enough in the centre square, so hopefully they don't get a free kick for not enough in the centre square. So the umpire is...
So the Claremont coaching staff gave us the heads up for some moves, and obviously South Fremantle doing the same.
That was a good tackle from Goran over as Gilchrist tried to go through. Sullivan over the ball. Elkington clamped onto Sullivan. We're going nowhere. Encouraging play from Gilchrist, just couldn't get through. Goran over has done a lot of work in the steel room over the last 2 years, enabling her to hold up that dash. Huggett flies over Husband. Sullivan again at ground level, failing to find the handle at the moment. Elkington 2. Takarona comes in, trying to extract the footy on the run. Smith just tries to sock it out of there. Weston does the same. Weston into the back. Simple free kick given by Wright, who was tracking Weston. Gee, she puts pressure on defenders with her speed. Just assessing what's in front of her. A little stalking the mark on the far side. Of course, they are allowed to move around on the mark in this game. There's a whistle on play. It must have been to play on. Players have done that. Extracting the footy well was Huggett. Over to Gilchrist. Tackle on the far side of the ground. South Fremantle doing a lot of work and going not very far with it. The umpire let that one go until she was buried into the turf and then said, I'll have it. So she can spit some grass out of her mouth and underarm the ball to the umpire.
Simply Energy scoreboard has the Tigers still out by 31 points. They look to extend that now. They recede a little bit of ground, but can they have the composure? They do. They feed it out wide. Inside of the boot, little check side back in towards the field of play. Good strong tackle, but the Tigers again clean across half forward, and just dropping the mark there at the last second was Payne, the last goal kicker. Hongel propels them forward. Great use of the body. Just ushered her teammate, Demanis, under the flight of the ball, Jade Britton. That was clever.
Yep, perfect body position there. Well, she kicked this one, Deggers.
Demanis is a good strike, good left foot strike of the football.
Kicked the first of the game today.
7 metres. She'd be considering herself 7 metres too far out, so she'll really try to give this a ride. And in doing so, she'll pull it. So she's actually within her distance, I think, but just in her head thought she had to do a bit more. She's a good kick of the football and a nice clean strike.
Deggers, I've been fortunate to call at least one game throughout the 3 years of this competition. What do you think the biggest area of growth or improvement has been in those 3 years, as far as the gameplay or style goes?
I would suggest players are connecting far better. And the other thing I like is players, see Reedy here is looking for an option. She doesn't get one, so she goes through her checklist of what's next and then construct a chain of handballs here. The girls are also prepared to kick it to a dangerous piece of grass now, like that. Whereas before they were so intent on trying to get it to a player, they were prepared to turn it over. Another great kick to grass as an example. So I think the connections and the intent to connect, I think the handball receives are better, and the marking overall I think is better, as we see Ward kicking this ball in towards the goal square. Clarkson, it seems to be Clarkson down there against Hongel and Dyke. Arriving is Fortescue, now Hongel, looking for Kat Bennett. Pressuring her from the face will be Vecchio. She gets the ball over the back towards Husband. Holtz is in the way. Holtz touches it, but then she's uploaded by Husband. The ball ends up with Garstone, who, in a quest to get the ball towards Hamilton Smith, has just got a bit wide and out of bounds.
That was a fair bump, but it was a tough one.
Yeah, she got middled, so hopefully just a bit of oxygen, a drink of water. And Ward's got the kick in here. So if she chooses to go a little wide, I have to stop the game. If she goes shallow, she's actually said to the umpire, I'm waiting for my mate to get off the ground. You can't do that. The kick towards Fortescue does bring that injured player into the game, and now the umpire stops play. She's going to be all right, Holtz, I think. I hope she's going to be all right. I think she's just
landed awkwardly after that bump.
Well, she was absolutely middled, so there's absolutely no shame in just being a little bit rattled here. Husband occupied the space that Holtz was previously in, and hopefully it's just a drink of water and a systems check. Plenty going on. The heat just always makes you, when you get a bump, need a bit of a cuddle and a wet flannel. It's a very, very polite, small round of applause for getting side bumped.
So for all their good work in this term, they've managed to just bite into the lead by a point at this stage, as we're inside the final 10 seconds. So I'd say the team in red and white will be the final chance to score. They're not going to get that opportunity, but a good chase down, just getting her toe to the ball, was Sasha Goranova. So better signs in that third term by the South Fremantle Bulldogs, but only managing to gain 1 point overall against the rampant Tigers. So on the Simply Energy scoreboard, as we turn for home, it is Claremont back out to a 32-point lead. So in fact it is remaining that half-time lead. Jade, your thoughts on what was a very positive start in the third term by the Bulldogs?
Yeah, I think their attack on the ball and their defensive efforts were really good at the start. I think they looked a little bit tired towards the end, but I think that was, they've kept that. They haven't let that lead get out anymore, so that was obviously a consistently good quarter from them, I think.
So Claremont just assessing at the moment. There's been a couple of bodies coming off the ground for South Fremantle. Deggers, that's not going to help their cause. They need as many fit bodies as they can to run out this game.
We've seen it in the first 2 rounds, players that there's too much stimulus for them. They're very hot, there's plenty going on. They're due for a rotation and they get a bump. And we've seen most of those players be able to make their way back out to the ground. So I'm just hoping that those 2 players there we can see Wake for up and about down there, and you can see Holtz is just starting to move about as well. So just hoping it's just a chance to cool down, cool off, just reduce the overall stimulus and just be able to centre oneself and get oneself back out into the game. So hopefully no injury, just as I said, just a bit cooked up with what's going on.
So we're into the home straight. It is status quo at 3/4 time. It is the Tigers by 32 points. 4th quarter action just around the corner.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
You're back live at Revo Fitness Stadium. The Tigers, with 1 foot in the door of another victory, they would make it their 2nd of the season. It is the WAFLW Optus season round 3, and some of the highlights of a 3rd term that was dominated in the early stages by the Bulldogs, but then the Tigers' experience just winning out in the mid to latter stages of that term. Clint Degerbrocht.
Yeah, there's a couple of things to observe. One is that we're not getting inside the huddle with Matty today, he's staying inside the truck. So I just wanted to make that a mention. Matty, usually we get pictures from inside the huddle today. Yeah. He's decided it's a little too warm and he's staying down there in the producer's van. Yes.
How was that goal just quietly from Cronin? That was the first goal of that term.
That was terrific. It's really, we've got to talk about how well Claremont are playing. They're executing their plan that they've been trying to play for 3 years. It's working really well for them. They're doing everything right. Their halfbacks are fantastic. That's all a given.
Yep.
What I'm really liking is the fact that you can see what Souths are trying to do, and you can see that they've got the cattle to be able to do it. They're very young today, and you can see that what they're trying to do as these players become 17, 18, 19 years of old, having played 15, 20, 25s of WAFLW football, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. They're doing the right thing at the right time at Claremont, unfortunately, with all the experience and the ability to finish.
So far, the goal kickers, Amy Franklin, kicked both of her goals in the opening term. Tessa Demanis as well. And Brooke White, Michaela Weston and Adele Arnott. And then Andy Payne in the 3rd term, adding to the Tigers' goals. For South Fremantle, it's been pretty lean, but individual goal kickers in Ella Ward, Zoe Huggett, and that lovely snap in the pocket by Hunter Cronin as we're about to start
There must be some chat between Vescio
Fourth
and Adele Arnott because the umpire's gone over and had a word. Having known a little bit about both those players, it'd be funny whatever they were saying as Huggett crashes in. Gilchrist misses the ball going past, and it's Vescio that gets to extract the ball. Fumbled by Sullivan on the far wing. Handball to Arnett. So everyone that had a bit of lip in the first bit's had a touch. Sullivan tries to get through. She's held up this time by Hamilton Smith, and Hamilton Smith will get the first free kick of the game. Sullivan trying to bullock that ball forward.
So players, as you can hear, screaming for the football, but no option short, so they just have to wheel around. That's a well-weighted kick. Out towards Scanlon, who takes the chest mark, wastes no time. And I love that, how they just back themselves and play on in towards the pocket there. That was McDonald running out of tarmac, look to centre towards the vacant goal square and just over the head and out of play.
Very fair looking to centre. She's had a shot, the backman.
You got to get on the scoreboard somehow.
Back human.
So we've got our first stoppage inside forward 50. Matt Chechens, Clint Degebrot and Jade Britton bringing you all the action from Revo Fitness. Almost a falcon to the Tigers player. Little hand pass over the top. Stray kick will be chopped off. Now that was touched off the boot, so mark won't be paid. Bulldogs just will be happy to see the boundary line win out this contest and another chance to reset.
Western a little bit frustrated there. All the South Fremantle players, wary of her pace, were just giving her a little bump here and there. I think if they hadn't have, Western would have been away to the races.
So South Fremantle had 2 players come from the ground in that third term. Hopefully they'll be okay to reset and have another crack in this fourth term. Second stoppage in as many minutes. Crumbs gathered this time by Scanlon, can swing around, centering ball. It's floating towards the square. Double fist on the footy, brings it down to ground level. 2 players went for the tackle, and that allowed the crumbs to be gathered by Sophie McDonald, who slams it through. So 2 players almost colliding and taking the one ball carrier. And that results in a major kick, and not what South Fremantle would have wanted. But again, superb play and pressure from the Tigers. Sophie McDonald kicking her first of the afternoon, and the Bulldogs defenders not being able to take a trick there, just sort of cannonballing off each other.
Too wary of, I guess, how dangerous Germanis is, perhaps, Jady, and just allowed themselves to be split.
Yep.
Husband and Huggett are set. Souths have followed the protocol of 5-6-5, so we can get the ball thrown up straight away. That's Huggett that wins the ball down. It's Smith in the sweeper's position for Tigers first to get there. Arnett gets this ball up to Smith, who uses the opposite foot to push the Tigers forward. Holtz, that player that did come off late, has found her way back to the ground, and she's on the run and delivering to half forward to Akarana. She'll be able to gather this, and Bennett, she fumbles it, and Bennett's able to mop up quickly, and that's what we were talking about, I guess, is the ability to finish from Souths. Takarana making all the play there, and Bennett able to finish. But midfield, Gilchrist looking for Cronin. Little loses it on the way past. A little hand in there from Dyke. Back feed from Cronin's good to Gilchrist. Long ball in Wakefer, the player that came off after a Huggett. Oh, it's Boothman off the hands too. She pushes the ball forward. Ugle looks to be leading the foot race. This bounce is horrible and favours Ortlep, although maybe it's Ortlep's experience that allowed her to read that. Ortlep's handball to Elkington gets to Ortlep, and South Fremantle are able to crash in and get this ball out of bounds.
You could see Ortlep just pumping the brakes slightly, and the ball fell straight into her hands. That was well read.
She's played a lot of football. She's a very, very high-class footballer. There's a bit of media going around about who's the best player in WA never drafted. And a couple of East Fremantle players have been pointed at too. And I have to say, Rachel and Claire Ortlep are very, very, very good WAFLW footballers. It's Ash Little now. Can't get the kick away under pressure and called for holding the ball. Good tackle from Matilda Dyke.
She's had a good second half, Little.
Yes, she pumps the accelerator, not the brake, Little. Ugle should be able to intercept off hands. Huggett running the play, just paddling this on the ground where she should have picked it up. Back feed's okay. Very short and very shallow entry to Little. She jukes one way then the other, then actually goes the original way, pulls it up over her shoulder, and Bennett is able to get back. Actually, it's Ortlep.
That could be a shoulder.
She goes back and puts fierce contest on. Amy Franklin has punted this ball from inside, deep inside 50 for the Tigers, but only as far as Vescio. Vescio's got Takarana. at 45 degrees. Can't quite get there. This is what she likes now. She's got 2 players to beat, Franklin and Hamilton Smith. She gets inside Hamilton Smith. No, she doesn't. Hamilton Smith does enough. Pedal to the metal, Sullivan. Ortlep again. Hitting the front of the pack there is Fortescue. Sullivan. Tuckerana. Big question asked at Gilchrist and Tuckerana there with that handball. It's back to Ortlep. And this will go out to Hamilton Smith. So, wonderful footballer, I'll say again, Rachel Ortlep. And this falls in the hands of Hamilton Smith, who can now start Claremont's 4-0 forward.
So Cronin was down on her haunches just earlier in that passage after a heavy knock in the pocket, but it's good to see that she's recovered and back in towards the action. So the ball's out on the outer side. 2-on-1 favouring the Tigers. Trying to gather was Garstone. They kick down the line. Clever use of the body, but just running out of tarmac. So that will be a resulting free kick to South Fremantle.
Kanakoska again. Sorry, Kanakosa.
She was very good in the third term.
She's good with her body there.
Yeah.
How old is she?
18 years of age, and she looks to peel off the kick inside that 45-degree angle mark. Looping hand pass over the top, off a couple of pairs of shins. Hurried hand pass in towards the corridor. Again, Tigers with the numbers. That was a clever kick. Improvised beautifully. Now to Payne. Payne pumps the Tigers inside 50. How will it sit up for White? Chasing the football. Getting closer to the boundary line. Superb work there. Good defensive work from Pia Dirk. But Tigers somehow again. So it'll come back to White. She'll have to load up from one step. 2-on-2. Ball sits in the air a long time. The Crumbs gathered it towards the back of the pack. They come crashing in. Somehow Garstone pushed off her kick back in towards the middle of the ground. Ugle with a little toe poke further backwards. Back into an interesting part of the ground. And again, it's going to come out the back of the pack. And thudding, I think, into the goalpost for a minor score.
Jacinta Valentini. So Ugle doing a fair bit of work down the front end there. That's Alia Ugle. Might be one of the Narrogin players through the Stephen Michael Foundation. This long ball in now. Should favour South Fremantle, and it's chested on the far side in the hands of Michaela Cocking. She's done some good defensive work today. I learned a lesson or two. I was well playing on some very experienced forwards. Kicks not so good. Almost taking a screamer 3 or 4 deep was Bennett. It's in her hands now. She pulls it to Germanis. A bit too focused on the player rather than the ball that time. The South Fremantle defence. Short chip in, finds Garstone, who marks it not on her chest but on her throat. It's a throat mark from Garstone. Just starting to think about the fact she's going to get a shot. The ex-Fremantle fullback. Still draftable age and draftable form at different times. Used as a forward. So Garstone. This will be some kind of celebration if she can get this home. Measured approach, really just sort of fluffed it up a little bit. She could almost claim she intentionally got that to White. Guarantee that she didn't. White fakes for a free kick behind the play. Meanwhile, South Fremantle run away with a footy. Templeman, clever towards the boundary under pressure from Weston, and then tackles Weston over the line. That's okay. From South, attempting to construct an exit. Fierce pressure here from the Tigers forwards.
I think the heat taking a bit of toll. The disposal not as slick as what we've seen throughout 3 terms, but where that's lacked in this term, the intensity seems to have risen, particularly around the coalface at stoppages. South Fremantle, another hack forward up towards Gilchrist, who's impressed in this second half. Bit of a hurried kick around the corner. Standing strong, just feeding off the hand pass to Fortescue. Kicks around the corner. Bit of a chaos ball in the end. They go out the side door towards Valentini. Can just straighten up. Bit of composure. Goals! They have been so good at just collecting themselves before straightening up the big sticks. We mentioned it pre-game in the early stage of the first term that they needed to straighten up, but they have. And Jade, that was composure at its best there.
Yep. Perfect kick, perfect finish.
Scary thing is, Jade, there's a number of AFLW players that are going to return to this side at the completion of the season. And I look across the ground now and I'm trying to think of how Souths can get into it. And you look at that front end. Valentini, Garstone, White, McDonald, Germanis, now Goranova. And the backs, you've got Franklin at fullback, Dyke, Hongel, Fortescue and Bennett. Then you go into the midfield. You've got a husband.
Do you feel it's their year to step up?
Claremont. If you look at their all-time, I mean, they're 10 and 11, no flags, just the one finals appearance. Is this year they've got to cash in?
I think they've underachieved with the quality of their list as husband goes up. So I do think it's their year to cash in. Peel, I think, have got a good run at it too, as do Swan Districts. Goes towards Scanlon, who's absolutely hammering towards this footy. She's got a bit of support in Fortescue. The tackle is very good from right. Scanlon again extracts this ball into Kat Bennett. Back to M. Bennett, steps inside, as she always does. She's got a lovely foot too, lowers the vision, tries to find Garstone. Doing enough was Cowell. In the hands of Holtz. Holtz to Cowell. She gets this wide towards Ugle, and she'll be able to assess. So Ugle in front, got a couple of short options, a couple of options in the middle. She goes towards Vescio. Vescio can't quite find the handle. She puts it on the floor. Elkington comes now. Bennett intercepts. Ward doing the bulldocking work. Allows Kanakosa in. Now this is intercepted by Elkington, but she turns it over towards Casey Byrne, who plays on quickly. Frenetic footy from Souths. Deep in defence, it's Templeman. 2v1, but they've got the free ahead of the ball. Vescio. Gilchrist breaking. Can Arnett hold her up? No, she can't. So now there's something in front of the ball, but the kick goes too far. And rooting it beautifully is Rachel Ortleb.
Ortleb again with another intercepting mark, but it looked as though they were out there. Well called too, Daggers, when Gilchrist made a break out towards that outer wing, but unfortunately the footy just couldn't find its way out there. Let's see if they can do better this time. South Fremantle on the outer side of the ground. And thanks to West Coast, the scoreboard still reads a 45-point lead, their biggest of the afternoon. Could have raffled that there, the two Bulldog forwards. Kick just indiscriminately into the middle of the ground. That's well judged. Great mark, and just stepping onto the ground. The intended target there was Andy Payne, but they turn it over. Up towards the point of the centre square. Brilliant work there from the South Fremantle player. Just puts on the afterburners. Unfortunately, just couldn't kick it to a red and white jumper inside 50, but needless, it was a good sort of turn of heels. Claremont doing what they've done throughout the afternoon. Hit targets. This is Bennett, gets very close to the player on the mark. Looks up towards Hongal, just tips it over the bar much like a goalkeeper. Hacked off the ground by Gilchrist, inside 50. Numbers now favouring South Fremantle. That was Little's kick, was partially smothered, so it wasn't effective in the end. Now a player's going to be held, and the free kick will go the way of South Fremantle. So a bit of fortune finally for the Bulldogs. Emily Boothman, the recipient of the free kick.
Just carried Emily just forward in the tackle, then pulled it back, and Bennett actually spilled it. Wasn't able to get a hand or foot onto it. So clever little push-pull tackle from the youngster.
Just going back with intent.
She could kick of the footy, Boothman.
Yep. Kick 0-1 in season 2021. So this for her first major of the season. Stuttering approach. Comes back with the breeze. Unfortunately not going to have the distance, but still a chaos ball. Hacked out of there, the pack, and dribbles over the line. Stoppage. Ball in next to the right-hand behind post, and hopefully that's just a cramp for the player Zoe Huggett. He's kicked 4 straight this season.
Might be more than a cramp.
Yeah, let's hope that that's nothing.
Bang shin. She's not going to take this ruck tap. Umpires haven't called time on.
So maybe a dead leg.
I think it was a bang shin. I think when she kicked the footy, I think she made contact with another player's leg. Either that she is cramping and she's deciding just to run through it, which is not the cure for cramp.
So ball in. She's still making her way rather gingerly over towards the sideline. Ella Ward down at ground level. Couldn't get a clean possession. It comes the way of the Tigers defender in Bennett. Kicks out to space, and teammate in Payne. Payne set upon by Gilchrist, showing what good pace she has. Tries to go off the ground, maybe in danger. The umpire's letting them play. Out the back of the pack. Again, Gilchrist taking in a very good tackle, this time by Elkington. Jarred the footy loose. Back in the hands now of the Bulldogs. Was that correct disposal? It was. Strong work there under the pack there by Templeman. Forces another stoppage outer side into the dying embers of this round 3 contest inside 3.5 minutes of this 4th term.
Been watching the interchanging going on just down in front of us, and I have to say at least 30% of players do not use the interchange properly. I've seen players enter the ground early, and I've just seen Zoe Huggett actually kick a goal. She came off the ground in between the two interchanges.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, more interestingly, Hongel with the footy, looking for Elkington on the far side for Claremont, chopped off the ground forward towards Boothman by the South Fremantle midfield. Hongel again pulled off the ball perhaps when she didn't have it or after she got rid of it. Dyke chops the ball off the ground for Tigers, falls fortuitously to Arnett, who fumbles and dives in the back of an opponent. And we're just bringing numbers to this contest now. The umpire stalking around looking for something to do, in the end realises there's no free kick to find. Jade Britton, better throw it up. Good contribution, Jade. Just a little snigger into the microphone. He was looking. She was just Instagramming. Commentary life.
Well, Jade, you've got South Fremantle next week on the Sunday down on your home ground at David Gray's Arena, so there'll be plenty to take out of this game.
Yeah, get a little stalk in before next week.
It's called Oppo analysis, but I like the stalk. Meanwhile, run down is Canacosa in front of us. Hamilton Smith tracked her, and why not have a crack from the youngster Canacosa to get the ball going? Hamilton Smith. Lots going on in front of us. Players intent still to win the ball. Ball towards 50, shallow entry if any. McDonald goes back strongly, can't quite complete the catch. Running away is Casey Byrne, under pressure from Goranova. She turns over to Hongel. Hongel's owned the half-back line today, and she's had some friends with her too. Long ball in, looking perhaps to benefit Payne and Smith. It's to Hakarona. If she decides to run, she can do the length of the ground. Wright actually burns her inside, so we don't get to see that run, although she's still coming. We go inside again. Hakarona on the far side. Vescio with the footy right in the middle of the ground. Beats Hongel. She's been good today, Vescio. Lays this ball up, or attempts to her forwards, but Amy Franklin and Dyke have read the ball really well in defence.
South Fremantle would be looking to take a leaf out of Peel's playbook, wouldn't they? Because Peel, Jade, I mean, you went from 1-11 in the inaugural season to winning a flag in the second season. So definitely some positives and something to look up to for South Fremantle when they take you on next week.
Yeah, massive turnaround for our club. And the community around there is just great now. I think the winning the flag was something we really needed because, you know, spirits were pretty low after the season before. Yep. But it's good. Exciting.
Scanlon on her right foot. Can she add to it the Claremont tally? She can. Her celebration for the goal wasn't half of her celebration for the point. In fact, she just turned and asked, was that actually a goal? Can I have a hug? And she's too exhausted for the exuberant celebration. That welcomed her to football with her first ever score, which was a behind. Scanlon.
So 1-1 in her career.
Scanlon, 50-50 shotter, and I think she's had a good debut today for the Tigers. Good size and shape, and plenty of pace and desire and attack on the ball. 20 seconds to play, so we might get a ball up and then a couple of bit of wrestles. Don't know what the broadcast game is next week offhand. I can't remember.
There's one of 3 games. Saturday, March 13 will be Subi versus Claremont at Leederville Oval, 6 p.m. Sunday, March 14, the Sharks take on Swan Districts, arguably the game of the round there at New Choice Homes Park. And Peel will take on South Fremantle. Congratulations to the Tigers, a comprehensive win. 11-7-73 to 3-4-22, thanks to the West Coast Eagles. Scoreboard sponsors in that 4th term, and you would have to say, Jade Britton, worthy winners and a polished performance from the Tigers.
Yeah, their defence today was super strong, and then they executed well down the other end, so not much to fault, but they'll be tough when we come up against them in a couple of weeks' time.
We need to give credit to South Fremantle because they asked a few questions of Claremont throughout the day, and their attack on the football is right up there.
It is, and they were good, and they're a good young side. When you have a look at the actual game, though, it's 18 scoring shots to 7, so very it's comprehensive a win, sort of statistically as it is on the scoreboard. But yeah, lots to like about South. They have to keep the faith. They've had a rough first year. They were gifted a run in due to the shortened season, and they knew how hard it was going to be. They're better again this year, but of course, if someone else is 35% better than you, and you improve by 10%, and they don't improve, they're still 25% better, so a lot of work to do. 2 or 3 20-year-olds short, perhaps South Fremantle. Be interesting to see what their injury list or what their out list is, because they played a lot of extra youngsters today. It's worked for South, it's worked for Swan Districts, and it's worked for Peel playing the kids in the competition. It's just 1 or 2 more senior players you'd like to see South, just to help the kids out at different times when things get tough, but plenty there. I'd like to be coaching either of these sides. One for the now and one for the future. And I think Bo McCormack in the Souths box will be very happy with what he saw today. And I think Jack Schwartz and from afar, Andrew Dillarato will be quite encouraged by today's performance, which I think represented how Claremont tried to play.
And the positives for Claremont today, they had 10 individual goal kickers. Amy Franklin, their only multiple goal kickers, so 10 individual goal kickers for 11 goals. Yeah, it's hard to defend against a team that can do that.
And we'd have to dip into the vault to see whether they kicked 11 goals last year, and they've done it in the game today.
Yep.
And of course their conversion rate was good too, 11-7.
So as we said, Amy Franklin, the only multiple goal kicker this afternoon, got both of those in the first term. And Andy Payne, Adele Arnott, Valentini, Demanis, Ella Smith popping up with a goal in the second term. Brooke White, Michaela Weston, Sophie McDonald and Maddie Scanlon. Kicking her first of her career rounds out the goal kickers for the team in blue and gold. And individual goal kickers for South Fremantle, Ella Ward, Zoe Huggett and also Hunter Cronin, which with arguably the goal of the day in that third term with that snap from the pocket.
Yeah, particularly the way it was we might see that again, hopefully, particularly the way it was constructed. We might see that in goals of the year as a wonderful tradition breaks up out on the ground where the players just acknowledge each other's efforts. It's something that type of thing that used to happen in male footy and probably as late as 1980 where you actually talk to the opposition and include the umpires in your celebrations. The females still do it. Long I hope it continues because it means that the game, that the after games are a lot less adversarial than it is in male footy. So they play hard, they play fair, and they congratulate each other at the end of the game, which I think is a wonderful little piece of female footy.
So the victorious Tigers making their way over, they will be singing their song, 11-7-73 to 3-4-22. Looking ahead for them, they've got a Saturday night game at Leederville taking on Subiaco, who are some big names down this year from their grand final team last year. And I noticed Danica Piscaneri actually unfortunately having to retire. I read that yesterday due to some foot problems. She's a fantastic player, also a fantastic basketballer too in the State Basketball League, and unfortunately her career is going to be cut short. And then on Sunday, March 14, East Fremantle take on Swan Districts. It'll be a tough game to pick, that one. As we go into the huddle now of the Claremont Tigers.
It's in February and March, where you don't mind being in the middle, being covered with water at 2:30 in the afternoon. Far better than July.
I almost know that song word for word because my father-in-law is an ex-Richmond Tigers player, so I've got obviously my partner. And
there's only one really word change in that.
Yeah,
it's quite a rousing song. But 29th of July on a Friday night game, 2 degrees running sideways, getting covered in water. Not so interested as I would be in today. Been a good call. Thanks to Jade Britton on debut.
Yeah, Jade, fantastic work, and congratulations again, Maddie medalist yesterday. As we're going through some of the highlights, thanks to Optus. This is the first term and the feature of the afternoon, this run and carry from the Tigers. Jumping out, they kicked 5 goals in the opening term. As we'll see some of the highlights from that term.
You can tell how young the South Fremantle side is. Yeah. Most of them are down there talking to their mums. Which is a wonderful sign for the footy club to include. They are the premier family club, South Fremantle. And as you said, Claremont far too strong today for them. Good signs. Claremont's halfbacks, just dynamic.
Yep, and Amy Franklin there kicking her first of 2 goals in the opening term, 5-1 to 1-1, effectively shutting the door on the contest. And this set shot by Michaela Weston probably could have had a second goal as well, with an interesting move that put one of her opponents on the grass, on the turf on her back, but unfortunately just couldn't cap it off. As we see
that deserved more from Wardy. Step inside and then.
Yeah, it was, and that was the opening goal there for South Fremantle in that term.
Tilda Dyke running away with the footy. The run of the backs today for Claremont was terrific, and they were loaded up. And as I said, when we read out the names of who's down there, and there's Ortlip and Bennett and Dyke and McDonald, Hongel, they're very, very hard to beat. You'd have to go 1v1 with a power forward and a couple of speedsters, and unfortunately, speedsters today were on Claremont's team, with Western getting back and helping out too. A couple of players in the Claremont side that have got some real toe.
We must say big thanks to Jade Britton, as you said, Deggers, on debut up here in the commentary box. We've enjoyed your input today, and good luck for the rest of the season, and also maintaining the favourite #1 child in your family, because I understand little Britain is coming through the ranks, so might be out of your shadow very, very quickly.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Her name, someone said, her name's Holly, I said, no, it's not, it's Little.
And Deggers, always wonderful calling a game of footy with you, and look forward to possibly doing it towards the end of the season. Great job today. Thanks for joining us. Round 3 concludes of the Optus WAFLW season for 2021. Swan Districts maintaining their hold on the competition, 3-0. 3 games next week. Thanks again to Front Row Screens, wonderful supporters of football in WA. We look forward to your company next week. It'll be round 4 of the WAFLW season in 2021. Matt Chechen signing off. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud partner of the WAFL and WAFLW. The West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams. Kia, proud partner of the WAFLW. This is Kia. Simply Energy, supporting WA Footy's talent pathway.